Hello, children. Welcome to an elementary school classroom in a slum, Stephen Spender, part 2. In part 1, we had done the explanation of the first two stanzas, and in part 2, we are going to move ahead with third and fourth stanza. So let's begin. The third stanza begins like, surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example. Now, the poet calls Shakespeare wicked. Now, why does he call him wicked? In elementary school, if we try and understand, and if we see the scenario that was explained in stanza 1 and 2, we found that there's hardly any instructional or productive teaching going on. So, in such a scenario, expecting students to appreciate poetry, and that too poetry of Shakespeare, the excellence, the epitome of literature, is far fetched from these children. So they cannot relate. So it's very unfair to hang the portrait of Shakespeare on the wall of the classroom. So the poet calls him wicked. The map a bad example. Here he calls map the bad example why the map of the world is hung on the classroom walls. And this map actually introduces these children to the world that they have never seen. Now, just realizing that they belong to that world arouses certain hopes and aspirations in their minds. But the map does not show them the path to reach and be a part of that world. So that is why poet has called map a bad example. Basically, these two pictures which are hanging, the children in the slum classroom, they're not able to relate to them. That is why he called Shakespeare wicked and map a bad example. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. Ships and sun, they're all symbols of the bounties of nature and all the materialistic things which are available to the children belonging to the world that exists outside the slum. And these slum children are deprived of all these things. So, but being a child, you have desires, you want to possess such things. So, what happens? Since they can't afford, so the urge to possess them at times leads them to unethical paths. That is, they are tempting them to steal these things just to possess them. They use the wrongful ways of stealing them. For lives that slyly turn in the cramped holes. For lives, whose lives? The lives of the children residing in the slum. They slyly turn in crammed holes. Now, what are these crammed holes? Crammed holes represents the home that these children live in. Now, holes is generally used for the rabbits or the mice, the rodents basically. So, cramped, very congested. So, the houses of these children are being compared to crammed holes, and this is a direct comparison. So, and no as or like has been used. So, that is why we can call this poetic device as metaphor. Lives that slyly turn in their crammed holes, slyly turn means the lives that is spent, these children's lives are spent in these crammed holes without any realization of anyone. Not, even they themselves don't realize. They just slog in the slum for their survival, for their sustenance. From fog to endless night means every day from morning till evening. All throughout their life, they struggle, they slog, they work hard to sustain themselves. Now, in this line, fog is representative of morning. So, if you see, if we replace fog with morning and then it is endless night, morning and night, they are opposites. And when we use two opposites or two contradictory ideas in the same line, that figure of speech is known as antithesis. So, from fog to endless night, here the poet has used Antithesis. We move ahead. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones. Now, on their slag heap. What's slag? Uh, Slag is waste. Usually, when you study metallurgy, hmm, and iron is extracted, so the waste that comes out, that is known as slag. But here the meaning of slag is waste, garbage, heaps of garbage. This is one meaning. Now another meaning, another interpretation, rather than meaning, we can interpret as, just see the line, on their slag heap, means whose slag heap? The children's slag heap. These children wear skins peeped through by bones. How do they appear? They are so skinny, they're so emaciated, they're so lean that every bone can be counted. So, the poet is talking about the bodies of the children. So, here, one meaning I told you is the heaps of garbage. Another interpretation of their slag heap is the wasteful bodies of these slum children. They're so weak, so malnourished, so emaciated that the bones peep out of their skins, and spectacles of steel with mended glass. Now, why did we take? You might ask that why two interpretations? One is their wasteful bodies, and another is their heap of garbage. Because here in this line they say that spectacles of steel with mended glass. Probably they're playing on the heap of garbage, and they have come across. They found some spectacle with a steel frame, and it has got broken glass, which is mended, and probably this has been discarded by some rich person, but this has become a toy for them. Like bottle bits on stones. Like, again, a comparison. And what is compared to bottle bits of stone? The lives of these children. Their lives are just like the bottle bits of stone. Like a bottle, if you break into small pieces, you cannot put it together to give it the initial stage, the original shape. Similarly, these children's lives are uh, so distorted that there is no direction in their lives. Their future is very bleak. So, here the comparison of the life with bottle bits on stones, here it is a simile. All of their time and space are foggy slum. Once again, the poet reiterates that all the time and space means their entire world is confined in the walls of the slums. They never go out. They know nothing, they just know slum, they live slum, they're born in slum, and they're going to die in slum. Nobody knows about the future of these children. So, blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Blot their maps. Which maps? The world map the poet is referring. See, when we see a map, when we study, we see all the countries, states, cities being marked on the map. Fine, that is how we get to know their location. But when these children look into the map, they don't find their slums. So the poet, this is a kind of a sarcastic statement of the poet that if these slums exist and we have no problem with these slums, then why not put these slums on the maps? And what are these slums? These slums are as big as doom. Again, a comparison. So, again, a simile. Now, but what does it mean, as big as doom? Mean he's talking about those slums where the lives of these children are worse than hell. Doom means end of life, means it's worse than death, the lives that they live in these slums. I hope you've understood the third stanza. Let's move on to the fourth one. The poet, is feeling very disturbed by the plight of these children, and he wants a change for these children. He wants the lives of these children to change. He wants that these neglected children, these children who do not possess anything, who are living such a deprived life, they should also enjoy their childhood like every child has the right. Fine. So in first three stanzas, we find the poet, he appears to be very pessimistic. He portrays a very gloomy picture of the slum. He portrays a very deprived picture, a picture of deprived lives of these children. And he wants the change. But he says this change is not possible unless, see the fourth stanza, unless governor, inspector, visitor. Means who are these? Governor, of course, a government official. Inspector, again, you can say a government official, or it could be someone, some inspector of some non government organization. Visitor, any rich and philanthropic person who loves the people in the society and loves to help, use their money in the right perspective. So he says, until these people come forward, who? The government, the non government agencies, and of course, the people, rich and affluent people of the society. And what does he expect from them? He expects that they should come ahead, they should help these children with money, that is monetarily, and of course, morally as well. Somebody, if I'm not able to do something, somebody comes and boosts me, that of course you'll be able to do it and we are going to change your life. So this is the kind of moral boosting he's expecting from these people. Now see another, there's a poetic device in this line: governor, inspector, visitor. If we see the importance of it, governor seems to be the most important, then comes the inspector, and finally comes the visitor. That means all these three are placed in descending order of their importance. Now, such a poetic device is called anti-climax. What is climax? There is a poetic device, climax also. Climax means when these kind of phrases or ideas are placed in ascending order. I'll give you an example. If I say a very simple example, if I say, I love my city, my state, my country. City is the smallest unit, state is a bigger unit, and country is the biggest out of these three. So if we frame a sentence like this, I love my city, my state, my country, this will be climax. Okay. If we just reverse the order, I love my country, my state, my city, this will become anticlimax. I hope you've understood. Okay. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, because whenever, even in schools and all, even in the schools in cities, whenever some inspection is to be conducted, when we get all these schools, they gear up to present their best. So even if these schools are regularly visited by these officials, the schools will function better. So that is what he's expecting from these people. This map becomes their window. Which map he's talking about? He's talking about the map that is hanging on the wall of the classroom, the world map. When it is going to become their window? When these people are going to come ahead to help them and try and change the lives of these slum children. And these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. So what does he say? When these windows, the map is going to become a window, when these officials are going to take responsibility to change the lives of these slum children. Otherwise, what happens? These windows shut upon their lives, the lives of the children like catacombs. Catacombs means graves. That means the slum acts like a grave to these children. Now, why does he use this idea, or why does he use this explanation? When we bury somebody in a grave, okay, we put a stone, and whether the person is dead or alive, of course, we usually bury the dead, but nobody can come out of it. Fine. Similarly, he uses the expression over here that these slums act like the graves to these children. On their own, they will never be able to come out of these slums. So I hope you've understood this line. So now he makes an appeal. Break, oh, break open. So we see, okay, one more thing before I move ahead. He's comparing the lives like catacombs. Again, a comparison is there. So this is, and like is being used. So this is a simile over here used by the poet. Okay, break, oh, break open. Break and break. The word has been repeated. So there is a repetition in this line. There is another poetic device over here. The poet is actually appealing. Okay, and he says, break, oh, break open. But there is nobody in front of him. Such a poetic device, is known as apostrophe. Right? I'll try and explain you. Like we say, oh, the west wind. So the poet Shelley has appealed to the west wind. Oh my God, right? Come and bless me. Please hold my hand. So this is a kind of appeal that you make to someone who's not present in front of you. So here there are two figures of speech in this break or break open. One is of course repetition and the other one is apostrophe. Break or break open till they break the town. Now this is an appeal to whom? To these officials, the governor, inspector, and visitor, the rich and affluent people, and also an appeal in an indirect way to the children. But first, we will see that this appeal is related to these officials. Break or break open means he's appealing to them to help these children break open till they break the town. I mean, they should break the shackles of the slum and come out in the outer world and show the children. Who's going to show the children? These officials. They are going to show the children to green field. Green field represents over here nature. And make their world run ashore on gold sands. Make their world run ashore means their world at the moment is only slum. Fine. In the previous stanza also we had read a line, the second last line, if you just go ahead and see, their time and space are foggy slum. Means they live there, they're born there, they live there and they die there. But here he says, he's appealing to them to make their world larger. How large? Run ashore on gold sands. Azure, blue, sky. Means as big as the sky, that should be the world of these slum children. So let them make their world run ashore, run under the sky, under the blue sky, on gold sands. Gold sands here means the landforms, right? The world outside the slum, all the land, all the mountains, all the rivers, all the capes, the nature as well as the land. And let their tongues run naked into books. So here he says, let their tongues run naked. Means give an opportunity to these children to educate themselves. Run naked into books means educate themselves, read those books, attain knowledge. And then what is going to happen? Once they educate themselves, the white and green leaves open. Means the white and green leaves, the opportunities. We had in the first part of it, in the introduction, I had said that the children who live in the outer world, they have all the joys, all the happiness, all the opportunities. So here we are talking about those opportunities, the opportunities which are available to the children living in the outer world, means the world beyond the slum. Even these children will be able to reach those opportunities, make use of it. Those opportunities will be available to them. History theirs whose language is the sun. History is theirs. Now, who makes history? History is something even 1 minute past, what I taught, what I spoke or explained just 5 minutes past, even that is a history, right? And history is written. But who makes history? Not you and me, not common man, but people. They could be from common man as well. People who do things differently. People who excel, outshine others, right? So they make history. So he says that out of these children who are going to educate themselves, who are going to work hard, who are going to do better than the others, excel in whatever they do, outshine others, they are going to make history. Language is the sun. Sun, sun is a symbol of power, energy, brightness. Fine. So these children, they should have that power, that energy, that optimism. Only then they can create history. Now, after catacombs, children, no, not catacombs, break or break open. In the next line, if you see, green fields, gold sands, these are all metaphors that have been used. Similarly, white and green leaves, they are representing something, the opportunity. So they're all metaphor over here. And of course, in the last line, history theirs whose language is the sun. This is a very strong metaphor that has been used by the poet over here. I hope you've understood the poem. Just go through it again. In the third part of the video, I've made a third part as well, where I have put all the important points that you need to remember from each stanza and also the figures of speech that have been used in each stanza. So, you want to revise, go to the third part of this poem. Thank you so much.